As I mentioned previously, edge control is incredibly important. If you're going for sort of a warped edge look, the smudge tool can be really useful. So here I'll give you a quick example of how it can be used. I've got two blue squares on their own layers, and I'm going to smudge the edges of each. For the one on the left, I'm going to have the Sample All Layers turned off. You can find that in the tool properties at the top of the window. So I can pull that blue color off of the square and onto the background. I'm going to do the same thing on the right square, but I'm going to turn on Sample All Layers. Okay, now I'm going to move both and you'll see what happened. For this one, it looks as you'd expect. It's got transparent background. Now when I turned on the Sample All Layers, it actually picked up some of that background color and burdened it into the layer. So let me show you why the Sample All Layers button can be so useful. I'll hide both of these blue layers, make a new blank layer. This happens to be set to normal. I'll use the smudge tool, set to Sample All Layers, and I'll begin smudging what looks like the background. So here I can make an edge look as if it's being distorted or potentially even on fire. When there's not any actual paint on this layer. In fact, the only paint that's on this layer is what the smudge is creating, but I can still move it freely. So you can see that it's picked up some of that background color as well as the color of the cube. So this gives you a safe way to distort an edge by making a new blank layer and then using the smudge tool with Sample All Layers turned on. And I'm going to use this on that special effect radiating from the axe. So now my image is flattened and I have one blank normal layer over top. The problem I'm seeing is that the special effects don't really blend in as well as I'd hoped. So this is a great chance to use that smudge effect. So on my blank layer, I'll select the smudge tool, sample all layers, and about 90% strength. And I'll begin to distort the edge. And here I'm making sure that I keep the center point of the axe in mind to keep that perspective strong. So this allows me to really just push the paint around. It's almost like a marbling effect. And it can be great for enhancing motion, and in this case, making it look a little more like moving energy. So it could be that I've gone a little too heavy-handed with this technique. Now here's where the beauty of it being on its own layer comes in. I can toggle this layer off completely. You can see where I started. Or I can turn it down to maybe 70% opacity. All right, that looks good. So using a blank layer and the smudge tool can be a great way to modify your edges, especially if you're trying to give a warped effect. And for now, I think I'm going to call my special effects done. So the last remaining step is what I call post-processing. So in the final videos, I'll show you how it is that I use Photoshop's filters and adjustment layers to finally refine my palette.